Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Home Staging Talk Show Live. I'm Jenny Norris, your host, and this talk show is brought to you by the International Association of Home Staging Professionals, of which I'm the chairwoman. And we do weekly segments, unless I'm elsewhere, to bring information about the staging industry and just successful business, marketing strategies, and so forth. So today we've got a great show for you. We're going to be talking to the owners of Clusivy and talking about how to manage your business better when it comes to planning and so forth. And before we get to that, I always do announcements, as you know. And by the way, if you are joining us live, please comment and make sure to sign your comment, because we're streaming to multiple locations right now. And so because of that, it doesn't tell me who's actually commenting. That's just their system. So I can acknowledge you if you would like to sign your comments. That would be great. Then also make sure that you guys can all hear me. All right. So last week we were out of the country at an event for real estate and so forth. So we didn't do a show. But we're back live. I did want to just continue to promote our upcoming conference and expo, which is less than a year away now, which is crazy because it's going to go by fast. February 24th, 25th, and 26th, 2023 in New Orleans, the Big Easy. We'll be having our conference there. It's going to be at a beautiful hotel right in the French Quarter. That time of year is a great time to go because it's not too hot or humid, and lots to do in New Orleans, as a lot of you know. So start planning now. Tickets are on sale at ihospconexpo.com. You can register now and get the early bird special. And with that, we also, as those of you that have attended one of our events knows, we always do a big celebration awards dinner. And so this year, the theme is going to be a masquerade, Mardi Gras gala, and awards dinner. So people might come in full costumes. Some people might just put a mask on. So those are encouraged, but not required, of course. And that comes along with your registration. If you want to bring a +1, there's a ticket for that as well. So look for that when you are on our site to look to register. And here's a couple glimpses of the hotel where we are going to be holding it. So it's a beautiful Sheraton right downtown. This picture on the left, or in the middle, I should say, is their kind of common area. It's open. I said, when do you guys close? And the person I'm dealing with said, this is New Orleans. So that's a great place. We'll be able to congregate after hours and just continue talking and having fun and catching up with everybody, as we've all missed everybody the last couple of years, being able to come to conference. Let's see here. Our European conference, of course, is happening at the end of May this year. So Portugal, May 28th and 29th is the conference, and that should be a Saturday, Sunday. And I'm just going to quickly make sure, because for some reason, yes. So the 28th and 29th. So the 28th is a full day. All these really great educators, people that are in the industry that specialize in particular topics from warehouse building to marketing to team building and so forth, will be sharing. And then they're going to have a realtor panel that will be there as well. The 29th is a half day. That's for people that would like to earn their senior staging specialist designation. And you can go to ihospeurope.com. You can see that right here on the screen to register and get your tickets. They are giving special prices for people coming from overseas, so U.S. members getting special pricing, and their registration, their tickets are less than our general conference because it's not as long. So I think it's really affordable. And of course, Portugal is a beautiful location. Beaches, the colorful buildings. I mean, I can't wait to see everything. And if you are interested in going around town as a group or just a small group or lots of people, whatever, just let us know, because we are trying to put some things together for people coming in from out of town. Their hotel, of course, is historic. It's the Pastana Palace Hotel. I mean, it's just gorgeous. This is one of the sitting rooms, I think common areas in the hotel. This is the, oops, what happened? Show and stream. I was trying to find the hotel picture, and I don't know what I did with it. So let me go find it. The grounds are just absolutely beautiful for the hotel. And it is a historic building. So really, really looking forward to being able to stay in such a beautiful place in Portugal. And it is in the heart of Portugal. So in Lisbon, of course. And so go ahead and register. This is the foyer. of the hotels. So hotels over there, of course, have a lot more history than a lot of our hotels here because they've been around a lot longer. So register. Let's support our colleagues over in Europe, and of course learn, because it is. We can never stop learning, and the topics they have are pertinent for all of us. They have a gala dinner on Saturday night. It is black tie. So squeeze yourself into your tuxedos and dresses, and we're gonna have a great time. The Europeans know how to party. They really put on a good event, and then they love to celebrate. So we are excited to be there. I want to give kudos out here to Paloma Harrington Griffin. Paloma Harrington. She is launching in Brazil a home staging course. She will be teaching the accredited staging professional home staging course from Staged Homes, and also helping to build an association there. So she was part of a panel, and then they had their own event to earn their, to teach people about the course so they could register and so forth. They had a really good attendance. And so I'm really excited to see how Brazil is going to be on the grow, and kudos to Paloma for making that happen. Staging is everywhere that houses are sold, just about. And so all over Europe, all over all the continents, basically. So we have members in many places, 20 different countries. And so I'm excited to see how Brazil is going to grow. And who knows, maybe one day we'll have a conference there in the near future. I also do want to put this up. What's happening over in the Ukraine with the Russian invasion is something that all of us, in the free world are just, horrified by what took place and is still continuing to take place. And, we want to say that we stand with Ukraine and their desire to retain their country and defend their country. And so Verena Mumford, who is she's part of the IHOSP Europe Leadership Board, she's actually raising funds to provide necessary things for refugees. They actually are coming into many different countries. And so whether it's bedding, household items, clothing, whatever it is, you can donate to help that initiative. And all the funds go directly to support that. There's no middleman. So Verena Mumford, you can find her on Facebook. I have posted this in our IHOSP groups and so forth. I will post the information here as well for you to get a hold of her. You can do it through PayPal to her email address. And so I'll post that in here in a little bit. But it's important that we do what we can. I still feel sort of helpless here in the U.S. watching all of this unfold, seeing the terrible things that the Russian leader is doing, Putin, killing people, targeting hospitals and so forth. It's just really unnecessary, and evil is really the only word. So we do have Russian colleagues, and they are suffering. The people in that country, with all the things that the restrictions that other countries have put on Russia. Now the people there, no food, they're struggling. Their economy is in the toilet, and all because of this person who wanted to invade a neighboring country. So, we have Russian colleagues who are home stagers, and it's important that we separate out what political people are doing versus the people who live in the country. And I think it's important for me as leader of IHOS to share it to all of our Russian colleagues that we support you, we love you. And our Ukrainian colleagues, we love you and support you. And all the people in Poland that are, taking in these refugees and helping people in all the different countries, allowing them to come in. It's really a wonderful thing. And I'm hoping that this war ends very quickly, and, not more loss of lives that are senseless. So again, if you'd like to help, any contribution, $20, $200, whatever you can give to help provide, that will go directly to these people who have been displaced from their country. So thank you, Verena, for doing that. And anyone else who's involved over there that's part of our association or even not part of our association, thank you for what you're doing to help these people. Okay, with that, I am going to go ahead and bring our guests on. And so Ty and Cedric, it'll count down for you. So I'm going to put you both in here. There you go. Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Jenny.
Morning.
Good to see you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being on. And for you guys are so tall, I feel like I should stand up. I'm sitting down in this chair. Maybe
You know how short I am.
I'll go like that. I'll angle it so look. So for the people who don't know who you are, go ahead and introduce yourself. So Cedric, why don't you go first?
Yeah, my name is Cedric Lipsey. I'm the founder and CEO of Clusivi.
And I'm Ty Ono. I'm helping Cedric out as the Chief Marketing Officer of Clusivi.
So for people who don't know what Clusivi is, why don't you go ahead and give an overview?
So Clusivi, first of all, the word is the center of the word inclusivity. We like to say we're the intersection of inclusivity and exclusivity, right? So the idea behind the service that we offer is that everyone deserves to have access to whether it's higher education or specialized education, more importantly, right? Or be able to participate in conferences and be able to do the things that they need to do, not only to grow personally, but also to grow professionally. But all those things cost money, right? And so, but we felt like that the people who are needing and wanting these services the most should have access to them. So our software is simply designed to facilitate planned purchasing, giving everyone access to whatever the high ticket service is that they may be wanting or needing. And it allows them to be able to plan for it in a way that does not disrupt their household budgets. So that's in essence what Clusivi is and what it's all about. It's all about planned purchasing to give everyone access to high ticket services.
Do you have anything to add to that, Ty?
No, I mean, I guess to make the further distinction as far as high ticket, high value is, again, the basic definition is our services that are expensive and that are essentially always planned out in advance. There is a projected purchase date. So it's not anything that, you would just buy on a whim and then subsequently have buyer's remorse about. These are services, again, whether it's education, specialized education, like Cedric said, whether it's elective procedures, whether it's home renovation. These are all services that are, in essence, add meaningful value to your life. It's going to enhance your life in one way or the other. So that's where our focus is as far as the types of services that we are facilitating in terms of being able to purchase.
And so you guys came to me through Joseph Hecker, the connector.
Yes.
And because in our industry, so we have opportunities to attend events, to buy furnishings for our businesses, to attend education and so forth, to be able to do these things. And what sometimes happens is life happens, or we think, oh, I'll get to that. And we procrastinate. And all of a sudden the event is looming and we haven't purchased a ticket. We haven't done anything as far as the financial side. And if you all of a sudden realize, oh my gosh, I don't have the funds available because I had to do something else, then you're not able to go. And so this is a way in the staging world for us to be able to plan ahead and budget essentially for attending a conference, attending classes, getting higher level education, whether you want to take the master's course or the scale course. Those are $2,000 to $3,000 for stagers. And so, to be able to save up for that over a limited or, a set period of time is important. Conference, I always say for people to budget about $1,500 overall between airfare, hotel, and the registration. So being able to set that aside in more manageable increments is important. And then even being able to take it to purchasing items you might need for your business. Let's say you want to go to market in the fall. And so you want to start putting money away so you don't load up your credit cards while you're there, because, trying to build out get out of that debt can be tough, and you're paying interest on that as well. And so this is an interest-free way to set money aside so you can budget and plan and do the things that you need to do for your business.
Absolutely. Have these funds set aside and committed, to this purchase. Like, I don't know about, most of your listeners, but I know in the past, oftentimes when I set aside savings is pretty much fair game to any emergency that arises, right? So, if there's car trouble or whatever it is, there goes savings. But what we're doing is helping, your clients or your members be able to commit to a purchase, be able to commit to something that they know, as Ty mentioned a moment ago, that's going to enhance their business, enhance their lives, enhance their careers, because that's what it's really all about. And I'm sure all of your listeners, just like Ty and myself, place a high value on continued education. I mean, I spend so many hours every day and so many hours every week, whether buying a course and if I can get in one that I didn't have to buy, doing that too, to stay sharp, to keep learning, to be better at what I do, and also to network and connect with other professionals, which is also a very crucial part of how we grow our businesses. And so, and that's what you provide at AHOSP. And we came to you and we connected and instantly saw, the potential of working together, because you also have I sense a very strong passion to be able to provide for your members, greater access to these services so that more can participate than not only just the ones who are able to just, whip out the credit card right then and there, but those who also know that the services that are being provided through iHouse can provide value for them personally and professionally. And so we just wanted to team up with you and provide something that was very seamless. And as you mentioned, that, doesn't create, quite frankly, more perpetual interest in debt. Who needs that, right?
Right.
Which is what we get with credit cards. And it's not just interest, it's compounding interest, which is what makes it even worse. And so our passion, at Clusivi is to be able to, provide access without disrupting the household budget, and to services that provide value to your life. And that's why we're excited about this partnership with you.
Well, yeah, and a lot of creatives are in staging, and so looking at temperaments and personalities, there's people who naturally are organized and planners and so forth, but then there's a lot of people who don't, and they're they don't run their life with spreadsheets and tracking everything, and so if that's you and you're watching this, check out Clusivi, because it's going to be a way that you can set money aside without having to really think about it. And then you'll have it available when you want to use it. So let's talk about, how does it work? At the platform, there's a platform. We have a dedicated iHosp portal, and the members can go in, and we need to talk about, are there any fees? What happens if, something happens, I need to get my money out? So let's kind of explain all that too.
Sure. So the way it works is really seamless. So like you mentioned, you have a dedicated iHouse page. So you will promote that to your membership and your listeners, and all they would have to do is simply go to that page. If they have their information there with them, takes them less than 5 minutes to sign up, set up an account, and they get to actually say how much they want to pay and how often they want to pay it. That's the beauty of what we actually provide. That's very different than anything else that's out there in the marketplace. It's actually kind of you set the terms, and then your customer is actually allowed to come in and say, I want to pay this much today, this much next week, this much in 2 weeks. And so and they just set that schedule. And what happens is we make an automatic ACH debit according to the schedule that they have set, so long as it does not exceed the term limits that you have set. And then we make that debit, and then, we send them little messages along the way, letting them know how close they are. And then once they reach that threshold or that agreed upon amount that you have set, then, those funds will then come out of escrow and be transferred into iHosp or whatever account that you have designated. But as far as interest, we charge no interest. That's the beauty of it. And as you mentioned, if life happens and for some reason you need to you need to put this plan on hold, what happens is we will actually refund you the full amount less the 10%. Now, granted, there are different thresholds that are set with different organizations. I believe with your organization, your threshold will be 50%. So up to 50%. So basically the way it works, you initiate your account with a 10% down payment, and then you set how often you want to be debited or when you want to be debited. And the 10% down payment, however, is non-refundable, right? Because we want to make sure that you're committed to this purchase, right? And so, and then after that 10%, however, if life happens in between that 10% and your 50% threshold at iHosp, anything that happens that where you need to be refunded, we will gladly refund minus the 10%, and then we will actually give you the option to reinstate that same down payment for up to 12 months, so long as you do it within that time frame.
So you're not, so people that are watching, so that's their fee, the 10%. And as the larger ticket items, it's not 10%. There'll be a flat rate that, we negotiated, because if somebody's trying to save up $30,000, $3,000 for the service is a lot. So that will be capped. And so that's their service fee is the 10. So what he's saying is, if you need to access your funds, you can. That 10% will remain with them, and then can be reapplied at up to 12 months at any time for another educational thing, event, conference, whatever it is that you want to send the money and be able to use it for. So right now we are using this system to help people pay for the staging courses for both stagers and assistants, and then also for our conference, and for shopping wholesale market, and even for our vendors. We have vendors that want to support our conferences, and either $2,000 to $10,000 depending on the level they want to come in. Being able to set money aside, dedicated for that purpose, in smaller increments is more manageable for a lot of these companies versus them having to come up with this big chunk. So it's the old kind. Those of you that remember layaway, and I think some of the stores have come back with layaway. It's kind of that same concept of you want to purchase something, it's there, and you put a small amounts towards it until it's paid, and then that's kind of the layaway program. So they took that concept and applied it towards financing for education and advancing your knowledge and so forth, because there's a lot of people who don't have credit cards, don't want to use credit cards. They don't have thousands of dollars sitting in a bank that they can just use for something. A lot of people it's like paycheck to paycheck, or they're it's tight. And so being able to then set aside money and plan for events. And we're giving out anywhere from 6 to 9 months to pay for things. So we're not saying it has to be paid off in 60 or 90 days. Being able to have people plan ahead 6 to 9 months with the program, then kind of gives you peace of mind, because at the end of that, you'll be able to go, which will be fun.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm looking at your New Orleans flyer, and I want to go. You know what I'm saying? And I'm
going to have you there.
but it looks like a great time to me. And so, but if I know that event, is scheduled for February of next year, why wait till February to be able to pay for something, or to disrupt my budget, or charge it onto a credit card that may already be exacerbated, as far as what I put on it and so forth. Why wait if I know I want to, when I can incrementally have that already set aside well in advance, know that I got my spot, and I can start picking off other things that I know I may need to plan for or do to participate and to show up as my best self, as I would say, to the conference. But yeah, that's really what it's all about, because it shouldn't be, my passion behind doing something like this, Jenny, I think I speak for Ty as well. When I say this, our passion with this is, no one should be left out of, why should the business lose out? And why should an individual or another business lose out simply because, I don't have it all today? When I know that this is going to enhance my career, when I know it's going to enhance my business, I'm going to build relationships, I'm going to be able to network, I'm going to be able to grow as an individual, as a business. So, that's really our passion behind it is, we recognize that not everyone, and I'm one of those people, I have credit cards, but I don't like to use them. If I can figure out, if I can plan it in advance, that's what I'm going to do. Because for me, it's just a savvier way to do things, unless it's an emergency. And we're talking about something, in the case of a conference, that's a year out, or in the case of a class that may be 3 months or 6 months out. Why not plan for it if I know it's going to provide value to my life and to my business?
And if I can just add in a couple of things, like going back to what you said about many of your members are creatives. I'm a creative. I am horrible about planning things in advance. And when it comes to things going above 2 digits, calculating, no, that's above my head. But something like this really is a tremendous value to, someone like me. And, as far as what you do with iHost, we really want to help, you provide that value to your members, to be a true advocate. We want businesses, professional organizations to be true advocates for their members. And I think that this is one of the ways that we can help you go about that, to really be able to, level the playing field for every single member that you have, regardless of where they're currently at in their profession, whether they're established, whether they're just starting out. This is just a means, a vehicle for them to take full advantage of the services and the value that you and iHost provide them.
Which is really important. And I kind of like, people sometimes have like a cookie jar, or if a can, like the money can, they put their extra change or dollars in there, but that thing's sitting in your house. And so for me, I mean, people say, well, do you have a stash of cash somewhere? It's probably not that safe having it at your house because it could get stolen, or if it's easy access, it could just be like, oh, we have that. I'll reimburse that, next week. This is, it's in a safe place. It's an escrow holding account. It's all secure, all legitimate and so forth. So it's not as easy to get at. So you really have to think about, do I really want to pull these funds out versus having it just sitting in a cookie jar and being like, grab a 20, grab a 10 or whatever it is. And you don't realize that you're raiding your education fund and with the good intention of putting it all back. But, if people could set aside $100 a month or $200 a month, whatever works for your budget, that then you start build up this nest egg of money that you can then use for how you want to use it, whether to pay for an event, education, or what have you. So, and I know there's a lot of you out there. I think it's, people don't really talk about money and savings and, people that don't have budgets and spreadsheets and are super analytical about it. That's me. I'm not like that. I don't like to have to track everything down to the penny. That's why we have a bookkeeper that does that for the company, because that's not my temperament. And I don't have no problem saying that. And there's been times where we've procrastinated and like last second, fares go up, ticket prices go up, and now you're paying more than if you had planned ahead and been able to, plan for when you're going to get the funds to be able to put those to good use. And so, don't be embarrassed by wanting to save. It's actually a smart business decision. And I think it helps people manage their finances better. And I think it's not as scary to do it in smaller increments versus feeling like, oh, I've got to come up with this huge chunk of money. Where am I going to get that? Well, you save for it and you set money aside and budget. And then when you're able to attend, I think it's really great. You didn't have to finance it. And furthermore, there's a lot of people who don't have credit cards. When the whole mortgage crisis happened 12-ish years ago, we got caught up in that. We had a short seller house. We couldn't even get a credit card for 3 years. We were penalized back then. It was 3 years for a short sale, 7 years for foreclosure. So for 3 years, the only card I was ever offered was a 76% interest rate. Isn't that crazy? 76%. And I tore it up, of course. I'm just thinking like, you guys are nuts if you think, and it was like a $300 card limit. I mean, it was just stupid. So the very first card I was able to get was a Kohl's card because it was Black Friday and that we had moved Thanksgiving in 2009, and in 2012 that the veil lifted and we were able to get back on track. But in general, my husband and I, we don't use credit cards to pay for a lot of things. We have the money, we pay for it. We don't want to go into debt that way. And so I think that's a smart way to run your business as well. If you don't want to go into debt and then have, the interest rates are compounding and accumulating, save up for it in smaller increments that are more manageable.
You know what, Jenny, real quick, you just mentioned something that's really crucial about why our service is so important, to the world today, because Ty and I like to use, the Wayne Gretzky analogy of, we're not necessarily skating to where the puck is, but where the puck is going to be. And you just brought up a very important point. When we look back in history at, the financial crisis, and the first thing to go away, I got caught up in that as well. The first thing you lose is credit, right? You can't, even if you have it, the credit card companies will slice it in half sometimes, or sometimes they'll recall it altogether, and you no longer have access to it. Well, what the reason why what you just said is so important, because we recognize also that a lot of your members are actual business owners, and so this is a program that is important to put in place now while things are great, but we don't know where we're going. I mean, we didn't expect this atrocity that we're witnessing, in Ukraine right now, and the effects that it's having around the world, literally, and affecting other industries that we won't see the effects of for some time yet. But obviously, we're going to see those effects. And so when I use that analogy or that quote of skating to where the puck is going to be, our product is about helping business owners thrive. It's not to be able to thrive, not just when times are good, but when things inevitably change, as they always do. And like you just mentioned, the 2008, 2009 financial crisis, with all of the things we're seeing happening in our world today with Russia, Ukraine, and other places around the world, we don't know when the next credit crunch is going to happen. Why not have something in place that allows you to continue to grow and thrive, so that not only can you as a business owner, your members, as business owners, be able to get the education and tools and services that they need, equipment that they need to stage. Why not have something that can continue to cause them and their business to grow, as well as something that they can then offer to their clients, who know they're going to be able to, or who are going to need their services. They can project the need for your members' services down the road. Why not also give them a tool to be able to engage their services?
Right. And so we've set up our, programs and so forth with you. However, you mentioned at the beginning, people want to renovate, do different things to their houses. Inclusivity is not just, we're not limiting, anybody can use it. So I think it's a great platform. Anybody can use it to save up for whatever they want to do, advanced education, fixing up your house, buying something, taking a trip, whatever it is, you can set up the parameters and you define that. So as far as the length of time that you want to pay for it and so forth, we've set up things that work for our purposes for the, timing of conference and classes and so forth. So we do have a time stamp on when those have to be funded, but in general, you have control over that. And so you can use it for anything. And again, no interest, but it's just sort of like the layaway cookie jar thing, but in a place that's safe and secure and not easily, and I don't mean the same in a bad way, not easily accessible, because I know, like, if there's money laying around, either one of my kids is going to grab it, possibly, hey, mom, can I have this to go buy something? Or in my head, I'm thinking like, well, okay, well, we'll pay that back, or we'll get that back, and get that back oftentimes never happens. And so it's better to have it someplace where you can see it. Can they manage? They can get into their accounts and manage and see the funds, right? They have access to that.
Absolutely. Yeah, you'll be able to, they'll have access at any time. They can log in and see how far along they are. So it's all right there. It's all very transparent and extremely secure. Our back end, is taken care of by one of the strongest companies financial companies in the world. So but yeah, you will always have access, full transparency to know exactly where you are and what you have contributed.
Awesome. So those of you that have any questions, how can they get a hold of you guys? I'll type it in here. What's the best?
We want your audience to come directly through you. So you have your page. So whatever works for you, you have your, so that we can track them to your organization. So yeah, when you post that link, we'll know that, this is an IHOS professional, and then we will reach out and get in touch with them. But yeah, feel free to reach out to us. Also, you can reach us at info@clusivi.com if you have any additional questions, or you just want to learn more about the program. Feel free to reach out to us there as well.
Perfect. So again, Ty and Cedric, we definitely will have you in New Orleans. It'll be a great event. You'll be part of our vendor expo. People can meet you in person. You'll learn a lot. And until then, so if you guys have any questions, I'll be sharing the link to our IHOS page and also Verina's email. I'll put that in the group. And if you guys have any questions, I can put my email in here so you can reach out to me as well directly. But thank you guys for being on. I appreciate it. And thank you all for tuning in. Our goal is to bring things of value to the industry. And by the way, you don't have to be an IHOS member to take advantage of this. Anybody can participate. It's not something that we are restricting just for IHOS members, because those of you that are, not yet a member, we encourage you to join. However, if you're, just checking it out, or you're not really sure, or you have your business, you want to still be able to go to educational events, and ours are always open to anybody in the industry. You don't have to be a member to attend. And so this is an open platform that anybody can use for whatever you need to save up for. So take a look at it, take advantage of it, and we'll have you guys back on. We'll check back in a few months, see how things are going, and have a good rest of your week. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We have a shorter show today, but I'm actually trying to keep them shorter, like half an hour ish. So this is perfect length. So
thank you, Jenny. For being here. Thank you.
You bet.
Appreciate it, Jenny. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.